pump there at the ranch, but it's not. One of the coolest things about being a boy with helping Grandpa, you could take this jug on a hot day, you could turn it like this, and you could get a drink of water out of it. The idea behind the gunny sack is that if you soak that and put it in the shade, it'll be cold when you drink it at noon, 1, 2, 3. I was lazy, I only put one coat on. They probably had another around it. I was lazy, I put rubber bands instead of sewing it like Grandma would. But this is a good memory to me because it was a way to get a drink. We talked about Christmas time. Walmart got these from my grandmother. Grandma Thomas would make these and give them away as Christmas presents. And my wife saw it in Walmart. And so she picked me up a little one because she guessed I wouldn't want a big one. But Grandma made these.
Sock monkeys.
And bunnies.
Those of you that received the plastic covered histories, no, I lied. You're going to have to go to the disc to read all of the memories I have of the ranch. The cave. My uncles, Rattlesnake Cave. My uncles took apart a bicycle, took the spokes out of it, took Grandpa's shotgun shells and dissected them and got the powder out of the shells and the BBs. And they made BB guns. And we'd go up to the cave and have BB gun wars with those spokes. There's just so much.
I was just going to say, it's kind of interesting you telling all these stories because there's so many similarities with my childhood, and I think there's where it all came from. Yeah.
Reruns.
Yeah. Like the BB gun wars, I remember that, except it got more difficult as you got older because they had 1 pump, 2 pump, 3 pumps.
Where you shot Brian in the forehead?
Don't mention that.
I did.
I got a BB gun.
We just
I believe you were the one saying, make sure when he pops up.
Better darts. Darts weren't good.
Darts weren't good.
Ask my dad about BB guns. He shot Paul Levitt's eye out with a BB gun. So don't mess with guns.
Really does have
Hey, is there anybody in here tall enough to use this pitchfork? How about this one? This is pretty easy, right? This was a yard fork, just to use in the mangers and all that. This is what they used to toss the hay up on the wagon with. And that's why this is so long, is they could get this and go. Ken and Herb and those guys, they could throw hay way up there.
And what else would you use that pitchfork for? No, the other side. You'd be up there tromping hay, and all of a sudden, up through the hay came this pitchfork handle, and it'd touch you on the leg.
Snake!
And the ones on the ground would yell, "Snake!" And the one on the hay would jump. No, we didn't jump off, but we
You
sure
moved
moved.
to the other side of the wagon. I'm still looking.
Again, it would be fun to tell you the things I wrote. And the reason I wrote them was because we don't have time. Kids are tired of it. Adults may
Want to go
be
for a
tired of it.
ride?
And so take the time to read off of the disc the ranch histories and the history of the ranch. I was of the opinion that you would only be interested in a 10-minute, 15-minute reading. And so these pages that show Grandma and Grandpa history, Grandma history, Grandpa history, Grandma history, you can read in 10 or 15 minutes. The pages are numbered so you don't mix up things. But I want you to know that it was fun preparing this. But the most important thing that you could do in your life is to go to Family Search and set up an account. Because on there, I've put at least 20 pictures of each family. And meaning Grandpa and his family, Grandma and her family, and so forth. And so, again, Family Search, if you don't know what it is, just ask somebody and ask them to help you get it set up. Anything else? Steve's stuff we talked about. But it's been fun. I'm glad I was here.
Does anybody know what that is? My mom claims that's the only thing she knows of Henry Thomas, Elijah Thomas's mom's. And she let me take it to school in 2nd grade, and I promised I would not break that. I would get it home safe. And they had paper bags back then, and she double, triple bagged it and everything. But I was so excited about taking that to school. I was going down the road swinging it, and the next thing I knew, it sailed down the road and broke it. And I didn't know they had anything but Elmer's glue back then, but some miracle glue fixed this, and you can't really see it's broken, but Mom gave that to me quite a few years ago back, and it had a letter taped on the back, and I'm sure I'll find it in some of my junk, but told about it. So when I was in Nauvoo and discovered the house was there and everything, I went out on the lawn and I asked the people there, can I just go out and set out back or something? They said, it's your house, not mine. We're just living here, you know. So I found these shards of glass, and it's the old, could be 1850 glass, but it's the old original type of glass that possibly was in the old windows. And there was this little blue willow china, which was very, very popular back there. So that's why that's in there. It's just kind of to tie that to Grandma and to everybody else if anybody wants to look at that.
Don't break it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't try.
And I had a picture here. I wanted to show you Grandma Thomas's mansion in St. George. Great Grandma Thomas's, and it's right here, but I cannot dig it up, so maybe she don't want me
To show it.
showing it off. But I always, as a kid, Grandma Thomas took me there by it a couple of times, and I always, as a kid, for some reason, it was spooky looking to me because there's all these old bushes and trees. And I always thought it was like this big mansion, but it's got one window here, a door here, and it's stucco. I bet it's not over 10 by 10 or something, but I hopefully I'll find that picture and can show you.
Where's the address in St. George?
400 North and 500 West, and Grandpa Thomas
That
owned
one
that
picture
whole.
that just came around?
Is it in there?
Yeah, it was in there.
Okay.
All that address.
So Grandpa Thomas, that was his inheritance when Grandma died. And my dad bought it and had it for several years and ended up selling it to a developer, and there's homes there. It's right there by that east, or yeah, that's it. See how massive that mansion is?
That is a big house.
That's the 2-seater outhouse.
Yeah.
right?
No, that's the home.
I know.
But anyway, it's the West Stake Center there in St. George's. You're going up Bluff. From the corner there, they own the strip down, and then the road on the 400 there. They own that. There's like 6 houses on the property now, but that's where the house was 400 North, 500 West.
So it's not there anymore?
Amazing to that is Elijah owned up that street at 500 West Diagonal. He owned that lot right there, and if you look on the map that's in here of the original old St. George city, when the pioneers were sent here, that was the lot he got, was right there off Diagonal. And he had his oil manufacturing was down closer to where Grandma's house is there. It's where the old Tropic Ice place was there. And he actually made oil and grease for the cotton mill. That was his original calling. But he made castor oil. And if you messed with castor oil now, you'd probably be in jail, because that's where ricin comes from, is it's the after part of it. But they used the pulp off of that for things and everything. But that's one thing. If I told Doug, if you go on Deseret News, it's digital now. You can go on it and you can put 1855 and put Elijah Thomas on there, and it'll pull up anything. There's old court actions. He had a shingle mill out at Bingham Canyon, and when the military come in, they burned that down, somebody did, and there was a court action trying to recuperate some of the money from that. There's just, on digital, you can go on that. That's where I found out about Grandpa and Art and them guys and their dad, Art of Delmar. And all that stuff's on there. Any of the news that's digital in Utah, you can get that off there. The last interview that Grandpa gave, and what I go by with my Mormon Battalion stuff, is he says in that interview with his son Daniel, there was 9 Mormon Battalion guys at Sutter's Mill when they discovered the gold. But I'm assuming, being they've made such a big deal, as Beagler and all those guys were the 6 that were working that day at the race when they discovered it. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to make sure you guys saw that picture of how that big mansion Grandma Thomas had there.
You
But
said Deseret News?
yeah, just go Deseret News Digital and it'll bring it right up, and it gives you a way to put the date in you're looking for and keywords and all of that, and then you can just punch on it. And, I mean, it had Mr. Thomas sold us oil today and all, and there's all kinds of stuff in there about it. Anyway.
Before